happen.
Yeah, I mean, it is a cutthroat situation, and the groups were interesting because it got split into 4, so you just had to essentially beat out 3 teams. If you're last, then you still have a chance to stay alive, but you need to prove that you're better than the worst of the other side.
Yeah, it'll be nice rhyme.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. I'm really excited to see that match, though. Functional Sociopaths, they performed a lot less well than a lot of people expected. People thought they would be a very strong team going into BPL, and they really struggled. Randler and Xanox, of course, being one of the legendary duos of Battlerite. They've played together since the game was created, pretty much. And
yeah.
To see them down in 4th seed, kind of sad, especially with Verosk on their team. Such a star-studded team. The fact that they were last in their group really, really says a lot about European Battlerite.
Yeah, and speaking of our next match, you said you were pretty excited for. It's going to be Dolos against Impact. All right, so it's Jürgen Klerney and Your Nightmare against God of Vague and Dizzler.
Yeah.
Dizzler. He makes my voice crack, apparently.
Yeah,
Dizzler.
I get pretty excited about Dizzler, too, so I can't blame you. Yeah, he's a pretty exciting player to watch, incredibly good on his Jumong. He absolutely tears up games on that Jumong. And I really like watching Dolos as well. Of course, Klerney, Your Nightmare, and Jürgen, 3 players that are incredibly good, forming a team for the BPL, kind of coming back, trying to show their stuff. If they manage to beat Impact here, it would be absolutely huge for them.
Speaking of Impact and how well they performed and what we are expecting of them coming in, right? Dizzler, Vague, and Godov.
Yeah.
Godov he's proved himself plenty of times in competitive Battlerite, and he's doing it again. Here he is.
He's one of the gods of Battlerite.
He is.
He's a god of Battlerite.
Oh, there he goes again.
Yeah, he's really good, though. I think this dude might be one of the best players in the game. Just simply said, he's very good on the Lucy, very good on a plethora of support characters, and really enables his team to succeed. A lot of the time when we cast those games, you'll hear me give credit to Dizzler and Vague, but a lot of the time it's simply because Godov puts them in a situation where they can do what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's the mark of a great support is you don't even realize how good they're playing.
Yeah, absolutely. If a support is playing really, really well, you just don't notice a lot of what they do, which is cool.
You just watch their teammates kick ass.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my god, that melee is destroying. Yeah. What the heck? How has he not lost any HP?
So we're going to see Impact come out immediately with the Lucy and Dolos with the Older. We don't see Older as much in Europe as we do in North America.
Yes.
Let's speak to it. What do you got?
I think I got some spicy stuff coming up here.
All right.
We got some spicy stuff coming up here. Of course, Older Ulrich been destroying the North American Battlerite region. Young Sung running that double support comp with so much damage output. I've heard some rumors that we might see the same over here, especially with this first Lucy pick. With the Older pick being first for Dolos. The Older pick first signifies to me that they want the option to be able to pick double support later on, maybe, simply because Older, he can do his solo support thing early on, and he can also run with another support later on. It's it says the least about your draft to lead with Older.
Yeah.
And against the Lucy, if you pick a really aggressive melee, something maybe okay, we got a Rook, and I think, I'm going to call it, this is way out of left field, but I think we might see a Sirius here. I think the Sirius is really good into Lucy here, and the Rook Sirius plus Older, just going to be able to output so much damage.
Another Varesh. We've seen a lot of Varesh in the last 2 days.
Yes.
We hadn't really seen a whole lot of him, and I don't think he got crazy changes in the patch anyways. So maybe people are just finding that the meta's kind of veering towards getting those long-term debuffs on people and just dishing out damage over time.
Right.
What are you thinking? Oh, right now the teams are backwards. All right, so we're going to look at Older and Rook are for Impact, while Lucy and Varesh are for Dolos.
Then I don't think we'll see Sirius.
Okay, yeah,
I take that back then. I think Sirius was something unique to the players of Dolos. It's going to be Iva. Lots of Rook, though. Impact, taking a page out of NA's book. We're going to have the Varesh damage amp with the Rook damage amp. You talked about why we started seeing a lot of Varesh. He got some buffs. He has a Battlerite that reduces the cooldown of his shield by 3 seconds for every shatter where you consume either an RMB or an LMB, which is such a high impact ability. Inhibitor's Guard, having it more often is just absolutely insane. And with something like the Rook and the Lucy, having that shield and the damage amp is just so high value.
Yeah, he can play a decent bit more supporty and just help support his team with that much shields, especially if it's a 3-second reduction. It's pretty heavy. I'm surprised that one ability change is making us see that many more Vareshes. Maybe he was just that close to being used very often.
Yeah, I think last patch at the beginning of, or at the end of it, he was starting to be used a whole lot more often. That Battlerite was actually still a part of last patch. So not even something that was changed in the patch, but people just recognizing that Varesh has more value.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what is being played this patch also dictates that Varesh is picked more because the damage amp, it's so good against the Rook because it's so hard to put damage into Rook. And it's also just so good with Rook because double damage damage amp is insane.
Yeah.
So there's just so many different values and so many different reasons you want to pick the Varesh.
Do you think Lucy's going to struggle against a Rook and an older?
Well, yes. That's all I got. Just yes.
Yes?
It's very likely. Yeah, I think the Rook going to get on that Lucy. This is a Clerney Lucy, so he's very good at this character. I have no doubt that Clerney has played this matchup once or twice before, but we've seen it before. We saw Godolph play Lucy against Gatekeepers. Sometimes if the Rook just lands a stray charge, you just die.
Yep.
You just lose 70 health in like a burst, and the Rook farms up a bunch of energy. I'm not sure that's going to be the case, and after the Rook changes, of course he can no longer connect his incap from his space stun or his RMB stun, so it's not quite as snowbally for the Rook, but I think it's still definitely favoring the Rook.
I mean, against a Lucy, it's going to be tough because the timing, he's going to have to make sure that he gets that. If he wants to space into an incap to try and line up more damage, he's going to have to make sure that he catches it when she has no barrier in case of the knockback, or no, if she'd have to time the clarity like a god.
Right, yeah.
So that one maybe not as much, but the roll as well. So you really have to make sure that she doesn't have, but she'll be one of the easiest targets to take the combo off of, because without even one of those, way easier to land the combo.
Oh, we're on Blackstone Night. We're going to see a lot of incaps here, Carpet.
Yes, we are.
Very good map for Rook.
Both with identical skins. This is going to be real easy for us to cast. Your Nightmare. Not taking a whole lot of health. Going to iframe as much as possible. The Stone Glass, he will get petrified, but Clarity potioned immediately, which means Clarity's not going to have that for himself. He's going to find Vague, but just barely keeping distance. Puts the barrier out as the stun comes. Wow. There's the incapacity, but Rook to the safety from the Rook.
Varesh dealing a decent amount of damage to Vague as well. This orb, it's pretty important in the red team. Oh, they had posturing for it, but Jurgen gets a nice crush to help his team secure it. And Dolos desperately needed it. Your Nightmare needs some healing bad.
It really helped out. Iva, though, still mighty healthy, has an ultimate. Maybe looking to find Rook without a counter or an M2. Your Nightmare has nothing but to just spin around and try and eat while he gets a chance. He'll get his counter hit, but now he's in a dangerous spot. He's got almost nothing left. There's the ultimate. No, she gets petrified by the Clerney.
By the Clerney. Yeah, the Clerney player good enough to have his character referred to as his name. Now up top, Your Nightmare trying to aggress onto the older, find some damage, and on the other side, Vague eating all 4 hits of the Varesh ultimate from Jurgen. Jurgen not going to miss those.
Clerney now just dealing with Vague, just trying to keep it bay. There's the barrier, it's now down. Will one Rook go down? Vague looks so low. Yes, the M1.
Oh, it's off though.
Look at that, there's the trade.
Oh, Lucy's dead, though. Unless there's an inhibitor's guard. I don't think there is.
Oh, she stays alive! What?
Oh, they stack shields, though. Super unfortunate. Now Clerney's just going to get ran at. He has the energy for the roll. Oh, God. How are they alive, Carpet? And now they have the Varesh ultimate. Jurgen could bring this back. Oh, my.
A rocket boulder picked up the counter. There's the shield, the barrier down. That's it. That's it.
Do it. Oh.
That's it, baby.
God, that was so tense. The Varesh, Jurgen tried to get his ultimate off, but ended up getting killed by an M1 of Dizzler. Man, that was really tense. I think that ultimate would have been able to find the kill on Rook as well, as he had no more iframe available. Yeah. What a close round.
That was terrifying.
I really like this Iva pick from Dizzler. It's not something that I've seen out of him before, but it's very good into the comp of Dolos. Of course, there's a couple things I like about this Iva pick. First and foremost, it cleanses the Rook buffs. So the EMP cleanses off Your Nightmare's Eat buff, and it cleanses off his Berserk if he gets his counter hit. Both very high impact abilities that he needs to have up. If a good taser ever hits, he's just going to have a really hard time.
She can also cleanse up all these debuffs.
Yeah.
Although right now it looks like, oh my God. Vague needed it a little bit sooner. And by that I mean before he died.
Yeah, he just got burst down, and that's the power of Rook Varesh, right? That's that combo, the double damage amp. Sometimes you're just going to get melted down. Clerney, they're trying to hard commit onto him, but in the meantime, Iva just getting destroyed.
Yeah, there's really no coming out of this one. Guta's going to take all 3 Varesh ultimate swings. Rook smash.
I vote when Varesh starts hitting all of his jumps, we should say A.
A?
A!
A!
After every jump.
And then B and then C?
I don't know about that. I guess we could.
We'll start doing the alphabet.
We could turn into an educational stream.
We have to pick up when we left off last time. If we can make it to Z, then all the Varesh players get a prize.
They get a prize. They get a gold star or something. Who knows? They get an in-game title.
Yeah, in-game title. Alphabet master.
Just the letter A.
A. Dolos Impact now tied up 1 round to 1 round. Remember, this is a best of 5 maps.
Yeah, best of 5. Of course, this is only game 1. Vague got absolutely destroyed that last round. We'll see if Dizzler can do a better job protecting him with that Zap Shield, and we'll see if Vague doesn't put himself in a situation to get destroyed. Whoa.
Smacked about.
You see that barrier just get ruins?
Yeah.
Yeah, that barrier got destroyed so quickly.
Dolos is not looking healthy right now. They're getting split up. They're all losing so much max health. But they can turn this around, especially with this older ultimate. They're going to find 2 on the stun.
Dolos still managed to get the orb, though. Lucy got a roll because of it. Very good for her, as now they're getting a bunch of damage on Dizzler down bottom.
Oh no, Varesh. Jurgen just missed in the EXM2. Oh my god, are they just going to kill Dizzler?
Yeah,
After such a good victory, Dizzler might just die here.
Yeah, the zap, though. Zap finally being available, and now up top, your Nightmare getting chunked. His counter going to help him stay alive. This orb's so important for blue, but red get it.
He's going to get smacked with a rocket. He's going to mount up. He wants to find Dizzler so bad. He even threw a meat stick to try and get the final kill.
Oh, the older ultimate clutch. Not gonna.
He goes in aggressively.
He's like 21 HP. That's enough. I can run with that.
I say he's being a little bit crazy. And I'd probably be right.
It's looking like it. He is still alive, though. A nice taser slows down the Rook, too. God, these counters are so clutch.
Yeah, he held that counter for so long. All he wants to do, he'll sacrifice his life to kill Dizzler. Didn't work that time. He sacrificed his life to kill himself.
Yeah, he will sacrifice his life, but he's not going to get Dizzler.
I don't know if it's considered a sacrifice if it's just for yourself and no other good cause.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, that's going to be it. That's right.
Nice clarity potion onto Jurgen to cleanse off that debuff, that stun, but they have nothing left in the tank. Dolos going to go down. Impact finding some really good combos. The Iva, high-value pick here, getting a lot of cleanses on the Rook of your Nightmare. He's having a much harder time than Veg's Rook.
I almost feel like they lost that in the first 20 seconds. I mean, they lost so much health in the first 20 seconds. Yeah, they were able to somehow find Dizzler. I think Dizzler got a little too cocky there.
Yeah, he got a little antsy. He spaced in aggressively, tried to find his way in, but didn't end up working out.
3, 2, 1.
These orbs are so incredibly important for both teams. We'll see who's able to secure the first one. I think it's very, very indicative of how the round is going to go. Also, on that note, on the left side of the map, Lucy getting absolutely ruined by Veg. So much damage coming out. Now the damage is starting to turn.
Oh, Rook body blocking the space. Yeah, look at this. Wouldn't let him escape. Only one counter is going to get hit. It appears that your Nightmare. There's the incapacity followed by this. No, they're actually going to stun. Iva jumping in with an ultimate, securing orb with it as well. Smacking one. It's looking dangerous for your Nightmare.
Oh, both barriers stacked and both cleansed by that taser. The counter's proc though, but still, the HP pool on your Nightmare is so incredibly low. And that's the power of this Iva pick, Carpet.
That cleanse must have felt amazing, getting that taser out. Your Nightmare, at this point, just wants to try and find an in where he won't die immediately. And I don't know if he's going to find it before he gets poked all the way down. He's going to get meat sticked.
Vega's just spamming that EXM2.
Yep.
Throwing out so many meat bolts, trying to find damage. He's doing a pretty good job of it, too. Red team going to get another orb.
I mean, it's stopping your Nightmare from engaging. The moment he wants to with whatever he considers full health right now, which is like 50.
Yeah, your Nightmare, he's not able to farm any energy either. Both of those shields were stacked from Dolos as well. This is a huge weak point. They need to get this kill on this Iva. I don't think they're going to be able to.
No.
You're going to get so low.
They do a lot of damage to it, but again, another orb. 4 orbs to none right now.
Yeah, that's a full ulti they're working with over Dolos, and that's definitely not what you want to see. The barrier protects that meat stick.
Oh, no, didn't find any value. The Petrifying of Vague really slowed down all the damage. Onto Lucy, who's still dodging all this, but there it was. Your Nightmare just, he couldn't go in, he couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
What are you to do as a Rook with 40 health?
That was European Battlerite at its finest.
Yep.
Impact, they sat at that choke, did not let Dolo get in, collected 4 orbs over their enemies, and just slowly but surely won the round off of it. Your Nightmare on the Rook desperately needs energy to function as a character. He needs the EXM1s, he needs the Rs available for the in-cap combos, and without getting that orb and without being let in, since he was just held to that choke for so long, he wasn't able to farm any energy, and from that point on, the Rook was just completely ineffectual.
Yeah.
Man, even just looking at the scores, you can see how much better off Veg's Rook was because he had all of that extra energy to work with.
Yeah. Ooh, Your Nightmare just barely WASDing out of that rush from Vague. Varesh has to be very careful now, though.
Yeah, this is kind of scary. The stone glass going to come out too, but the R's available now. Godolph, he's overcommitted, Carpet.
Oh, he went in. I don't know why you'd ever space aggressively when you're against a Varesh and a Rook.
Well, luckily he
Another meat stick. One more.
He gets a shield proc, so he's going to have space again very shortly, and Jurgen's starting to take a lot of damage. The armor break plus Iva. Oof.
But they will secure an orb. He's also got the greens at disposal. Oh, they're just going to turn all the damage onto your Nightmare. He's going to have to try and get out of there. Shredding through all the shields.
Yeah, did you see all of those barriers applied? They just got, like, absolutely shredded, too. You said it perfectly.
Rook's got to be careful.
Oh, that was cute.
Once he uses the knife frame, Varesh wants to ult now. He goes for the greens. Your Nightmare's just going to spam eat. Oh, no, he's going to ult, and he loses the orb for it.
Well, your Nightmare now has no energy to work with, and he's a Rook. That's not a good look, as his HP pool also close to 0, now reaching 0.
Somewhere below 0, I'd say.
Whoa, that's pretty cold.
Yeah, he died. He died real. Oh, yep. No, that's good night.
Yep, good night, Sweet Prince. Not the Rygon this time, but Impact. They look pretty good, Carpet. This Iva pick paying for itself. These cleanses so incredibly important. It was crazy watching Dolos. They were using all of those shields on your Nightmare when he was getting comboed. Even all of the shields getting burned through on the left side of the map. And the Iva just negating the pressure from a lot of the shields otherwise. Just, I think the draft favoring Impact here a little bit.
That Iva pick, once you see a Lucy and a Varesh, going for the Iva pick, already you find value, but then going into a Rook on top of that, you're real happy if you're Dizzler. He's playing it well.
Shield City, dude.
Good God. Looking like a Freya out there.
Yeah, for real.
Vague has to actually get that in capper, so he's going to lose too much max health against your Nightmare. He should probably eat soon. There he does. Hungry boy. Both trying to get... Did they both miss each other?
Looks like it.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Ooh, the counter not going to get procced either, and now your Nightmare on the back foot here after applying so much pressure to Veg early on. He's now getting destroyed. Godolph throwing that quicksand over him, getting something.
Quicksand meat stick. Jurgen and Clooney both have ultimates, although everybody does at this point. There's going to be one. There's going to be another. Going for the stun onto Lucy. In the meantime, up there, they have to be careful. Your Nightmare will go down. They don't have enough for a cross kill. They do secure an orb, but they don't have ultimates now. And I think Impact are going to take this in a 5-1 sweep. Or I guess not a sweep, 5-1 near sweep.
5-1 near sweep,
I think people call that a gentleman's sweep is what we called it last time.
I do like the sound of that.
Because you let them have one, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You let them have just one, and we called it a gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, it's very nice of them to let their enemies have a round so they don't feel too bad. But even with that one round, I can't imagine they feel too good about not only their play, but that comp. I don't think there's any way we see that comp again.
I don't think so, especially knowing that Dizzler can play Iva apparently pretty well. So now your Nightmare, Jurgen and Clooney are going to be looking at a defeat, wanting to change some things up. Is there anything in their toolkit that you think they'll really, really bring? I mean, I think they're a pretty versatile group. I mean, I've seen them play on a plethora of champions in their respective fields.
Yeah, they definitely can switch things up. I'm interested to see whether or not... I think a lot of it relies on how Impact drafts. I think if Impact does something like reveal the Rook early, we might see Jumong picked up for Jurgen. So I think Dolos should change the way they're drafting. I think you should be holding Jurgen's pick till later on and maybe leading with Clooney's pick or your Nightmare's pick and having that range DPS pick for last. Yeah. Because if they pick the Rook, you definitely want to have Jurgen's Jumong, and Jurgen is very good at that character, and Jumong just in general, very good against Rook.
Now, a long time ago, we see your Nightmare on Rukon.
Yeah.
I know we're never going to see him, but a man can dream.
Man can dream.
I think he is he the only melee we haven't seen yet this season?
I think so.
I think he is. I'm trying to rattle through them in my brain. And I think he's the only one we haven't seen all season.
Man, I think he's actually pretty good too.
He's in an interesting spot, right? Because he, unlike other melees, doesn't have any hard CC aside from his pull, right? He can't do anything to like really peel, aside from, although he has an EXE, which I think is super cool, but he can't really do much. He has his silence, which relies on him having a charge, so he has to have that charge. He can't just like cast it.
Right.
If you just used it, he won't be able to use it for a period of time, and he has to let that charge up. Maybe get his consume hit, which is always a really good way to deal with that. I like Rakan a lot.
Yeah, I think his problem in 3v3 is Rakan just wants to 1v1 all day.
Yeah.
Rakan just wants to post up against one character and just fight you.
Yeah.
He wants to find the Lucy in the back, he wants to find the Ashka and just run at them. But you can't really do that in 3v3, especially with a character who relies on a shield as his main source of like sustain and like iframe. You'll just get AoE thrown at you by one of the other characters, and makes it kind of hard for the Rukon. But no, I don't imagine we'll see Rukon.
No, and he's gotten some substantial buffs since the last time we got to do this in previous tournaments. I mean, now that he can space during his ultimate was huge. Everyone called it the kill yourself button whenever you press F on him because
the die button.
Yeah, the die button.
Yeah.
Just all right, I'm just gonna die now.
So
the fact that he can space during that, and he, like you said, he loves to 1v1 because he has a lot of things to deal with iframes. I love his shifts. His EX space is super fun.
The spin.
Yeah, the spin to win,
It's
spin
pretty
to
cool.
heal. It heals for a lot too. We're talking too much about Rakan. We're never gonna see him.
Yep.
Again, a man could dream.
Glad you recognized that.
Yeah.
I was like, we're having this detailed conversation about Rukon, a character who
We're
is
never gonna see him.
yeah, not going to get picked this tournament, I don't
Nope.
think. But yeah, I think we might see a pick on Thorn from your Nightmare. He's very good at that
Yes,
character.
he is.
So I think these are the main things we're looking out for. Jurgen on Jumong.
Jurgen on Jumong. You just lean into it. Jurgen on Jumong, or yeah, it's either Jurgen on Jumong or Jurgen on Jumong.
That's funny.
You can't have both.
Yeah, so either that or the Thorn for your Nightmare seems likely. Clarity, I'm not sure if he wants to play Lucy into the Rook again. Of course, Clarity Potion's nice first Rook. There's lots of stuff for you to always be cleansing. Armor Break being applied by Boulder now too.
Yeah.
But when you get ran at, you just die sometimes.
Yeah, and I think it depends on what kind of support he has. If Lucy Thorn, I think maybe Lucy she'll have the Entangle ladder side. I'm gonna keep calling EX Space because I really, really, really think that EX Space is a very good ability that is slightly underused. You can quote me on it and you can tell me I'm wrong. I'll take both of those. You can be like, wow, he said this thing. Either he's gonna be a genius or he's super stupid. I mean, the problem is that his normal space is just so friggin' strong.
Yeah.
That it's just so hard to make that trade.
It's so integral to his playstyle too.
Yeah.
He wants to burrow in. You can't really EX space in because allies a lot of the time don't want to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, what do we got here? It's interesting to see Impact playing the Rook, or not the Rook, sorry, the older. The older seen as pretty OP in North America. It's bleeding into Europe a little bit.
Yeah.
And Godolph did look really good on it last time. It's like we talked about before. When you don't mention the support player, it's probably because they're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Godolph just like always handled his trades effectively against Rook with his shield and his quicksands, and not quite as effective was Clarity on the other side.
Yep, we're going to see Ulrich come out for Dolos, so maybe, is this the double support you're talking about?
Unlikely.
Unlikely.
I don't think so.
No.
I think if they were to do it, it would be with an older Sirius. I'm not sure if they're comfortable doing it with older Ulrich.
I want to see Ulrich Baco Sirius.
That's a lot of run in. That's a lot of going in. Oh my god.
Hey, we've seen sillier things, literally, which is kind of sad to say.
Yeah, like yesterday. Saw some silly stuff yesterday.
Talking about some silly stuff. If we see the pound of cheddar today, that'd actually be pretty cool.
I hope we do.
Terrible, but cool.
So Dolos disagreeing with me, saying that they should not pick the Jurgen's character last. They're going to pick the Varesh for him second into the Rook. I'm not sure how I feel about Varesh into Rook. I think it has a couple problems. This last melee pick, I'm not really sure what it could be for Dolos. I'm thinking it's the Thorn, but I'm kind of concerned for the Ulrich here. Older, pretty good into Ulrich.
Yeah. Impact's last one. Their range, I mean, they can kind of go anywhere at this point.
I'd say Jumong would be good.
Jumong would definitely be pretty solid, especially once you find a Varesh, it can't really go anywhere.
Iva's also really good.
They did great with the Iva.
They did.
I'd like to see the Iva again. I mean, knowing that the melee they're about to deal with is probably going to be just as suppressive, just in general. Iva's probably not going to be a bad pick, especially when you're looking at the debuffs from Varesh, and then even just the buffs from Ulrich, trying to cleanse those off of your opponents. I think Iva's a good pick, especially since Dizzler played such a good job with Iva last round.
Yeah, there was also a buff to EMP last patch, where it now cleanses allies that are in the vicinity of the taser when it goes off, which I don't think you're ever going to see some like crazy play that was like designed around that, but I think that's really beneficial just for Rook in general.
Yeah.
A character that really likes to go in, a lot of the time you might find him getting a cleanse off of like something small, like even just like a time bomb that was reflected onto him or something, or maybe Thorns being cleansed off of him if a taser hits a Thorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will see the Iva. I do like the Iva into the Thorn as well. Like I mentioned, you can cleanse off the Barbed Tusk, which is pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, that's, what is it, 40?
Barbed Tusk?
Yeah.
It's 50.
Is it 50?
It's 50.
50. Close enough.
A lot of shield.
By 10. It really just kind of slows Rook down a lot, and you just have to sit and wait for it. Especially since one can put it on anybody, which is frustrating, but also very strong. And I think it's a lot. I mean, if Thorn didn't have Barbed Tusk, I don't think he'd be picking nearly as often. I think Barbed Tusk is one of his best abilities. It's super strong. Yeah,
it's a very, very big shield. Very important for him. I'm interested to see how this Thorn does. This will be very unique, I think. I'm not sure how it does into the Rook. We see a lot of things like Shifu picked into with Thorn generally, but Rook, I feel like Thorn as a character has these big openings where sometimes he just doesn't have a burrow, doesn't have barbed husk, and of course Clarny is going to be there to help him out, but we might see Veg just like wombo him, and this is a really strange map. This is Skyring Day.
Yeah.
See, this is what I wanted out of North America.
Who picked this? Yeah.
We're getting all the wild maps.
Yep.
We got Ormond Temple Night, we got Skyring Day. This is going to be really good for the Rook and the Older. Of course, Skyring Day is a map that has a lot of chokes in the center of it. There's a lot of small areas that you have to get through to get to the center orb, which are really good for Older and really good for Rook. Rook can just kind of throw down his boulder whenever you try to aggress in, and the choke is so small, the AoE of the boulder pretty much covers all of it. And also the Chrono Flux from Older, you can just place it in that choke if you ever get Dolos on the outside of it, and they can't contest orb with anything other than Shatter or yeah, Shatter's their only way to get past that Chrono Flux if he drops it in the choke.
Yeah.
You see these chokes when we're looking here, these small areas so incredibly hard for the side of Dolos to get back into if Impact ever forces them out.
Yeah, you can see already they're just trying to make sure that they're past that choke. They don't want to be caught outside of it.
Yeah, no one wants to be out there. That's the no-no zone.
Varesh, one that can usually hold his own. Your Nightmare. His Bard Husk is now down, and they're actually doing a good job of taking care of Vague right now. Counter will get hit, but almost no max health damage, especially on the Clarny.
Well, we saw the thing I was talking about. The red team able to stay in middle and get the orb. The Older ultimate now being forced out because of the orb secure, but the Barbed Husk and Inhibitor's Guard committed. The in-cap coming out now, and this is a train down bottom. They're getting a lot of damage onto this Thorn as he had a lapse in cooldowns. Nowhere for him to go.
Even with all that shield, he still took nearly all of his health and max health damage. Vague doesn't want to dedicate too hard for this. He's only got enough energy for a single eat right now. Who's going to secure this orb? Another orb ult
it's
from Thorn.
Like you talked about yesterday too. The Dead Roots committed for it and still getting no value. And on the left side of the map, the Varesh ultimate barely going to go off before he dies. But everybody on the side of Dolos so incredibly unhealthy. Ulrich inevitably going to die.
I still don't know how I feel about it, man.
Dude, I know how I feel about it. I'm agreeing with you yesterday. Dead Roots is getting almost no value on these orbs, and we're seeing it day and day again. The Dead Roots committed 100 energy spent by Your Nightmare to try to get the orb, but they still just don't get it.
Especially against this team comp.
And it's not like it's like a top, like I mentioned yesterday, there's no top heavy damage. It's not
Yeah.
like doing 36 like Infernal Scorch. You just have to get it slowly over time, and there's a lot of AoEs from Impact to secure it. Of course, there's the Boulder and the Quicksand. It's just too hard, man.
I mean, I honestly think an EXM2 would be better.
Yeah, 48 damage.
Yep.
It's a lot of
I think it'd
damage.
be significantly better. It's way quicker. I mean, you're going against what? You're going against an Older and a Rook. You really think they're not going to get orb through your ult? Either way, close round, but that burst damage towards the end. Impact just shredding through everything Dolos had to offer in support. Thorn staying in the middle. He's going to get that shield cleanse. Bard Husk is now down. He's got almost nothing in his kit at this moment. Already an ult from Iva. They'll secure the orb with it as well.
That is a lot of energy gain from that Iva. The Older ultimate coming out too, landing on 2 big damage, but the Boulder, he accidentally ruins his own combo. Unfortunate for Vague.
Thorn has used his space in. He's got Barbed Husk. He's going to find Ulrich to help.
Oh,
Vague turning around.
I love that. I love that play from Vague. Understanding he wants to stay towards mid, and
so
they get the
dirty.
kill. Beautiful play from the Rook on this map.
There it is.
Oh, the Dead Roots got the orb.
Yes, it did.
It got the orb carpet.
It
did it.
Right. Totally worth.
The Older ultimate coming out, not going to land, but Clarny has nowhere to go. And Impact, they're looking like they scrim on this map. They're looking like they know exactly how they need to play.
Yeah.
They're holding the middle. They're zoning out Dolos. That round we saw Clarny and Jurgen both right on the outside of that left choke. Couldn't safely go in. And then Your Nightmare on the Thorn found himself in that situation against Rook like I talked about before the game. Rook, he doesn't really have a big, like, wait in between when he can do a lot of damage, and Your Nightmare found himself in a situation where he had no more cooldowns, so he just got shredded by the Rook and his armor break.
See if Dolos can figure out. They're pushing in the mid, so they know they need to stay out of that choke point. Oh, but Jurgen's not going to have a lot to disposal. No more counter, no R. He has no energy right now. He just has to sit and watch, but thankfully for him, Dizzler's going to find so much damage right now. Look at how aggressive Clarny's playing. Blinding as well, getting the pull. Dizzler might actually just go down right now.
They played that opener amazingly onto Dizzler. They caught him without a space and immediately just hard engaged. The Dead Roots is going to come out, but it's answered by the Older ultimate, which is going to get no value. And man, that one went very quickly in favor of Dolos.
Yeah, but you see how quickly they need to take that one. If they don't take it right then, it's on Impact. I mean, Impact's going to be able to help secure the orbs. They're going to be able to put the pressure on. They have the chokeholds at those points. So once Dolos has to back out, they're done for. But you notice what happens when Dolos stays. They have so much damage they can output.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a misplay from Dizzler. He spaced very early, and then just immediately the answer from Clerney was to space aggressively onto him. And I think before Dizzler had energy for that tractor beam, he just kind of got ruined. I think that first bar of energy, very important for the Iva. And they really want to be careful about that. They don't want to have that happen again.
So look for Dizzler to play a lot safer in the coming rounds. Everyone pushing right into mid.
Oh, see that tangling roots? That was very nice.
Yeah, getting it early on. Stopping Vague from putting on the early pressures. Counter won't get hit either. He's going to take a lot of damage here. He doesn't have enough energy to eat. He might actually just die. Another mistake made by Impact, and Dolos will capitalize. Are they going to get the kill? His counter gets hit. He just got enough energy now. He will survive longer. And Dizzler secures the orb. He's got an ult as well. He gets the cleanse, the damage onto Jurgen. He's on that backline. Vague. He stays alive, but for how much longer? There's an eat.
Oh, they might find his son here, and they do. Onto Clerney, so much damage, and the taser! The taser lands too, and it turns so quickly onto Clerney. My God, Carpet, this comp does so much damage.
That was actually insane. All it took was just a little bit of stun, nothing left on Ulrich, and Clerney gets absolutely melted. Hold up! All right, I'm here.
Yeah, the Dead Roots is used in the pull onto the onto the Rook from the Thorn is there, but that was one of those situations where it's like, hey, you don't want me here.
Yeah.
Your Nightmare, you do not want me to be next to you, says Vig, and he finishes him off with an M2. That round, off the back of beautiful play from Dizzler. Sounds like we're praising this guy a lot, but it's honestly because he deserves it.
Yeah.
After that round prior where he just got destroyed, he ruined the enemy team in that round. He got a double taser stun to slow down the roll on Vig and bought his Rook so much time to be healed up by the Older. And that double taser stun also allowed him to output so much damage. And then the huge flamethrower to finish off Clerney. Just so well played by Dizzler there.
You can see what happens whenever a Rook doesn't have enough energy to eat, how much health they lose. So they are almost just as desperate as a Shifu going in to really get that first bar of energy.
Yeah.
But he's actually going to spend it on an end cap instead. Smack Varesh into the wall, get a boulder on him as well. Easy boulders to land on the inside of this map.
We see how patient the Iva was playing there too. Oh, the orb though, it's not taken!
No.
How did that not get taken? I thought for sure it would go in favor of Impact, but Dolos gonna take that first orb. However, the Thorn getting burned down by that flamethrower. Super effective.
There's going to be an ult coming out, no end cap, although he almost was able to smack Vague with it. There's going to be a stun on Varesh. He gets a lot of support from his Ulrich. Here's the ult from Varesh. The ult from Thorn. Red team secures orb. That's not great right now. Dolos caught outside. Varesh's ult, I think, got stunned out of him.
Radiant Shield coming out. The blind is going to be going onto Gaddafi. But you know who's not blinded? Vague. And with that Older ultimate, he's going to land onto the enemy team. They're looking to try to find the kill. A beautiful chain CC onto the Ulrich. Things are just quickly falling apart for Dolos. They have no footing.
They were just so split. They were all scattered. None of their cooldowns were working together. None of them had the rotations they needed. Impact 4-1.
Man.
Almost 2 maps up very easily as well.
Impact, they're making me eat my words. I said earlier they were slipping a little bit, but they have definitely adjusted coming into this playoff bracket, and they are looking clean. Dizzler's Iva play is perfectly suited for this meta. It's very good that he picked up this character in preparation for this tournament, and it's really paying for itself here with these rounds. Vague on the Rook, of course, also very good. Vague, as a player, he's always been very quick to adjust to the meta. He was one of the first to pick up Freya after she was found out to be very strong. Now he's picking up the Rook, and he's looking relatively good on this Rook.
Yep, and again, there it is, trying to push them back into the choke immediately. Varesh trying to stand his ground, but look at the damage they took trying to stay there. Dolos now. Uh-oh. Older just went in aggressively. Got him. You got to be careful. He used the time bender to just try and deflect Ulrich. Blue team secure an orb. Dizzler took a lot of health in that engage. Trying to push back. Thorn has almost got an ultimate. Here it comes. Finding some value on a Rook here. The ultimate from Older is going to keep him alive. They're going to actually stun on the healthy Varesh.
I like that play. The stun onto the Varesh and then immediately Vague M2s the other enemies. Oh, that's sick double in cap on those walls, and your Nightmare left without any allies. Gonna die, and Impact are steamrolling this game.
You talked about how strong this map is for a Rook. He just kind of, as long as he's somewhere inside of this giant circle, just throw out a smack. you'll get an in cap.
Yep, and that time he gets 2. And off the back of that double in cap, they take the round. This older rook truly proving to be problematic for Dolos.
That was a little bit gross. 5 rounds to 1.
I believe that's what you call dominant.
Yes, another gentleman sweep.
Another gentleman's sweep.
Gotta give him one.
Impact are very nice guys.
They are.
They don't want their opponents to feel too bad.
They're super nice.
Yeah.
But the Iva pick, I got to talk with you about that. The Iva pick proved so strong in both of these matchups because right now I think the current meta, as everyone's getting better, is like where are these long-standing buffs and debuffs that we can just kind of dump on our opponents and ourselves so that we can just overall win trades without as much risk or without really having to worry too much about it. Even if we just go even on abilities, we win because we had the debuff on them.
Yep.
But with that, Iva just literally shreds through that entire idea. Makes you push back, they secure orb, and then that's pretty much just the story's told.
Yep, the Iva just gets in there, applies that taser, cleanses all of the buffs, which are always present because of the Ulrich.
Yep.
And just, you lose so much value from that Ulrich pick as a result. Just, Iva's so good in this meta, especially with the Rook, can help out her ally quite a lot with the Zap Shield.
Yeah.
As Rook, early on, we saw a couple times Vig got punished very hard by his enemies, got stunned, and then just ended up eating like an entangling roots. But the really nice Zap Shields really help out the Rook.
Yeah, so, I mean, considering that Iva is a ranged champ, she plays a almost more significant support role, and pairing her up with an Older, which I thought was actually pretty cool, because Older, since he doesn't have as much heal, Rook doesn't really need heal. So when you really look at it, so the two of them making sure that Rook does what Rook does best.
Yep.
You've got to cleanse if anyone's going to be really, really trying to lay down some serious damage with the CC. Then you've also got some decent heals from Older, but it doesn't matter because you can just eat his no longer meat stick with that skin. Just this really cool energy thing. So he has enough self-sustained mix with Older. So it's actually really cool to see that those two are both just to kind of help Rook not worry about anything as he spins around and goes nuts.
Yeah, and just this Rook comp, or this comp really is built around enabling the Rook, like you mentioned. I'm excited to see how other teams are going to deal with this too, because as of this point, it seems like Dolos just don't have an answer. Maybe they need to break out like a Jumong or something like that. Yeah. But if Impact keep this up and win this next game, they're going to be moving on to the semifinals against Game On next week.
There it is.
Yeah, we're seeing the Rook comp again, I guess.
The Sirius, though.
Oh, the Sirius Rook, okay. Yeah, I played against this in North America a little while ago against Hi There and Stro. This comp is pretty strong.
Yeah.
You get in there, you deal a lot of damage very quickly. It's pretty scary. We'll see if they can deal enough damage, though. Okay. We got the Sirius Older now. I called it a couple games too early.
A little early.
Yeah, but we got it.
All right, so it's going to be Your Nightmare on Rook.
Yeah.
And we're going to see the Sirius Older composition and kind of follow suit. The double support's always interesting, and we saw Jeter and co. essentially do that first in North America competitively. I'm sure it had been done, but we hadn't seen it competitively. It was, what was it? It was Older and
Ulrich. Yeah.
It was Older Ulrich, and Older had the most damage. Like, we looked at the stats afterwards. He actually did the most damage on his team, which is insane.
Yep, it's pretty silly.
Yeah, it's pretty silly.
That's something Older can do, and I mean, Sirius, he also outputs a ton of damage.
Yeah.
The problem here with this Sirius is I think he might have a hard time with the AoEs. I think the Quicksand could prove to be very problematic with Impact. And the classic problem we see with Sirius, if his counter's not procced, he's just going to die.
Yeah.
So a lot of pressure on the Sirius to perform this match. Of course, he does have the cooldown, which reduces, or the Battlerite, which reduces his space cooldown by 4 seconds if he spaces onto an ally, which he will be doing quite a lot this match onto the Rook, I imagine. But still, a lot of pressure to get your counter hit.
But even so, I think his weekend's gonna do well against these trades with Rook. Whenever Rook goes in, if Sirius has his Rook anywhere near him, he puts his weekend on one. They're just gonna start winning that trade. We talked about how strong weekend can be.
Oh yeah.
When used in the right way. The RM1 combo from Sirius is one of the most fun things to smack into somebody.
Yeah,
I used to play Sirius when you're doing
when you're the Sirius.
When you're the one that goes boop boop and you just deal 80 damage, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. But yeah, the weekend is incredibly good against the Rook, like you mentioned. It pretty much makes it so Veg will not be able to eat. You can't eat if you have that weekend on you, and there's even the Battlerite that extends weekend duration by a full second. So 3.5 seconds, quite the long weekend that you can't eat for. He's going to have to play really careful, because if Veg ends up eating while he's weakened, he's just going to end up losing so much value out of that ability.
Yeah.
The 16 burst heal going to be reduced to 8. The overtime 20 heal going to be reduced to 10. Just not great. You really got to be careful about that.
Yeah. Dragon Guard Knight. I think Rook will have a decent time.
Yeah, it's a pretty good map for him. I wonder how big the taser cleanse on EMP that was added last Battlerite.
I don't know the range on that.
I feel like that's actually going to be pretty important this match too. If Dizzler ever hits a taser onto your Nightmare as he's going onto Veg, or onto Clerney as he's going onto Veg, and he removes the weaken that has been placed on Veg, it's just going to be so big for the team.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, fight.
All right. Impact up 2 maps, 5-1 both times. Clearly dominating right now.
Nice petrify.
Is this composition from Dolos the answer? There's the weaken on the Rook. He's going to have to be careful when he gets to eat.
Oh, the counter's not proc from Sirius. That leaves him with a bit of an opening. And on the other side of the map, your Nightmare's found himself surrounded by all 3. That's not great.
No, he's going to take a lot of damage to the incapacitate, but Older's going to help save his teammate. They might be able to kill him right now. He gets the counter, doesn't get hit. He's just going to go down the incapacitate, followed by the sands of time. Sirius goes down. Oh. All right, not the opening they're looking for.
Yeah, that was super unfortunate. We saw Clerney space in there onto the Rook, trying to do what their comp is built to do and play aggressively with each other. But Sirius ended up getting stunned by the older ultimate that just happened to be placed under the Rook. And then from that point on, the round ended. Very unfortunate circumstances for Dolos.
All right, Impact taking the first round, but you know Dolos will come back at least a little bit. They're going to figure out their opening is going to be the biggest thing. How are they going to open up? Your Nightmare wants to engage
3,
with Clerney to follow.
1.
So he'll get that free 4-second reduction on his space. But as you mentioned it, his counter getting hit is going to play a huge factor in how much they can execute.
Ooh, red team winning that mix-up heavily. Your Nightmare charged in immediately, tried to catch Godolph off guard. He's going to successfully do it this time, but he still gets punished. And on the other side, Veg gets a nice in-cap onto the Sirius.
He's going to leave Your Nightmare all alone. There it is, Clerney's gone in. He has the weaken on Iva, so she might do a little bit less, but Rook's right next to her. Oh man, let's just M1 away. Let's just make an agreement.
Oh, the taser accidentally stuns himself there. Older ultimate gonna come out getting nice damage.
I like it. They actually put it onto at least one of the supports. Blue team secured an orb. This is actually mayhem.
Yeah, this is a mess. They're not getting enough damage, though. Dolos aren't able to find the openings that they need to. And your Nightmare's HP pool, he doesn't have enough to work with, Carpet.
He really doesn't. They're actually going to try and get the stun out into Sirius. They do. But with no support, Older's all alone. He has to space out of there.
Oh, yeah, this is probably kill. A perfectly timed Zap Shield, though, but he still might go down. He has the weaken on him, too. A nice shield negates that death.
God, I've got incredibly close to death as well. He actually might still die. No. Looking like Red are going to have this. There's an ultimate from Older. Reverse time, reverse time.
Oh, counter proc there. A little bit unfortunate, but still looking like Impact are going to take this round. And it's looking like this comp is not going to quite work out against what Impact's bringing to the table.
No, and again, I think the Iva pick is proving to be so strong.
Yeah. There was that point in time where Iva's Zap Shield cleansed off the Older ultimate, and Godolph narrowly made it out with like 10 HP.
Yep.
Such a value pick. I don't even think he has Taser Bounce. Interesting. So I think he opts not to take the Taser Bounce, or maybe that's not EMP. Unsure. I think he doesn't take Taser Bounce, though, because he doesn't want to hit the counters. Of course, something you can do when you're playing against an Iva that has the bounce on Taser, you can just counter it no matter what.
Yeah.
Which is something you really got to look out for, and Dizzler, he's not even risking it.
Yep. I mean, he's got 2 counters to deal with, the ones that are just going to be doing exactly what we just saw, trying to pump out as much damage. I was trying to hold that space as long as humanly possible. Oh my god, I honestly don't know what's happening. I'm not kidding. I have actually no idea what's going on.
It's a mess, dude.
This is probably one of the ugliest things I've seen in a long time. Not in a bad way. It's just nuts. It's just mayhem.
It is absolutely crazy. Clerney, his counter's not going to get procced, and that leaves him with a bit of an opening. Iva now just M1ing into him. They're trying to find the return kill.
Vague.
Yeah, Vague is getting really low. Another Older ultimate. Clerney getting out of there. Ooh, scary.
Vague might die here. Yeah. Vague's going to die here. But they can if they can take out Jurgen, they got the cross kill.
All right. 2v2.
2v2 against a serious Rook duo. That'll be fun.
Oh, Clerney just...
Oh, the counter didn't get hit. Now's a chance.
Yeah,
he's got nothing left.
Yeah, you space after him. Good boy. Get him. Get him, get him, get him. Clerney Oh, Clarity finally going to go down. Nice chase from Veg to secure that kill. Something you can definitely only do in the 2v2. If that were a 3v3, Dizzler likely would have died chasing down Clarity, but in this instance, it works out.
Impact able to pull off the 2v2. 3 rounds to none. Man, it's chaotic in the middle of that mid-range game.
Dolos have only won 2 rounds in this best of 5 so far.
Yeah.
This is absolutely dominant from Impact. They look incredibly strong. And this comp, like, I really like that they're doing it only running 1 comp. I can't help but wonder what else they have in their back pocket, too.
Yeah, I mean, this comp they could probably just run with right now.
Yeah.
They could probably just run with the rest of the tournament. It's going to work really well into almost all the mainstays that we see. We see Yo Nightmare constantly just trying to get in and deal as much damage to the backline, but he just got eaten alive. He's actually already dead.
Yeah, no pun intended, but he really did get eaten alive. Didn't even farm up enough energy to get that eat until it was too late. And this is...
Yeah, this is bad.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call this match. I think Impact likely going to take this 5-0. They just look too good, man. Impact are playing flawlessly. The energy usage out of Dizzler is on point, not hitting those counters, getting the flamethrowers off. The zap shields have been on point, cleansing off any weakens and stuns. It just they're a well-oiled machine. There aren't many mistakes happening right now.
There really are not. And Your Nightmare is finding such a difficult time getting any value at all.
Yeah.
He's just going in trying to do anything, at least just force a space at a god over Dizzler. Because again, when you look at those 2 champs, you're looking at people that the moment you see a space you want to punish. He did force the space out of Older, but what's he supposed to do? His backline's not there. There it is, Sirius has joined him.
Oh, that was sick. Double tractor stun into double petrify. Beautiful team play from Impact. And now the Rook of Blue falling apart. Your Nightmare living his own personal nightmare, but he does get the orb. But Clarny, he's dead.
Yeah. Yep, this one's done. 2 rounds total Dolos were able to win in this best of 5.
Damn. That does not feel good. That's 2-15.
Yeah.
Was the round score of this best of 5.
You saying it out loud feels that much worse right now.
2-15.
That's pretty nuts.
My God, Impact, you're pretty good, and I will gladly eat my words at this point. Impact look like the team that I remember them looking like back in the days of the Rivals and the Battlerite. They look unstoppable, and maybe Dolos they just were out of their league a little bit. But you know, Dolos, they're not going to be out of the BPL just yet. They still have a chance to qualify for the semifinals in the next decision round. Going to be up against one of the other teams, still fighting, not out yet.
We see a whole lot of Rooks here in Europe. Whole lot of Rooks.
Yeah.
He is very, very strong. And I mean, I can't fault anyone picking Rook. I think it's a great pick, especially just where he's sitting right now in the current meta and what he can execute. And his survivability alone almost makes him worth it. But, you know, there's got to be a point where, especially when you're up against an Iva who's clearly not having trouble with you at all, you know, would you have wanted to pick a slightly different melee? Yeah. Do you think that would have maybe at least turned the tide of that final map, right? If they hadn't gone Rook into that Iva, knowing that Iva was coming, do you think maybe a Shifu or a different melee? I don't know about a Raigon, but
we saw the Thorn. The Thorn got 5-1s too.
Yeah,
I think at that point they just had to come out with some kind of cheese because it was looking like Impact were just the better team. You had to catch them off guard and see if you could maybe eke out a win. But I think Impact, like no matter what was played into them by Dolos, I think they were likely just going to come out ahead there. I don't think it was a comp thing.
Impact essentially getting the place where we thought we'd see them at the very beginning of the round robin in the group stage. We kind of expected them to execute like this, and they hadn't, which is where they found themselves kind of in this round right here. Yeah. It's because they found themselves in the 3rd seed coming out, or second? Oh yeah, second seed. Second seed. And they just, I mean, they seriously just brought it to them. Impact just every single time, whenever it came to working together, they just did it. Yeah. Like you mentioned, they were working together so incredibly well. Dizzler keeping his allies alive with the zap. The orb control is absolutely on point. They did a great job of weaving in and out of fights, understanding when they should aggress and when they should back up for mid. There were just so many things they did right. It would be much harder to list the things they did wrong because it looked like there were almost none. Yeah, and moving forward, it's going to be amazing for them trying to move into the semifinals, which again, we won't cover the semifinals today.